Welcome to Art with Janine Liza. In this video, I will be sharing the beginnings of using the Cricut machine and how I make a sticker using a basic shape. When you first get the Cricut machine, you will get access to an app called Cricut Design Space. You'll set up your account by putting in your email and making a password. Mine is asking me to sign in right now, which it doesn't usually do, but it must have updated or something. So I'm going to sign in and we'll continue. On the home page, you can see all kinds of designs and even classes for getting you started that you'll have access to if you buy a subscription, which is something like $12 a month. You can enjoy the use of Cricut Design Space without a subscription also. If you do have a subscription, you'll notice the little green A's on some of the images. That means access. So it means you'll have access to use those designs. I personally like to make my own designs, so I haven't used hardly any of the access designs, even though I have a subscription. On the sidebar, you can see things like Get Started and My Stuff and Discover. You can click around and explore. Up here, you can click to make a new project. Here's your grid. If you click up in the corner here, the grid will change. It will become plain white, or you'll have 1-inch squares if you click again. And if you click once more, you'll end up with tiny little lines that help you to be more precise with what you're creating. I realize the brightness on my screen is down a little bit, so when I make another video on the Cricut, I'll make sure the brightness is up. This project will be fairly simple, so we won't use too many of the tools this time. On the sidebar here, there's a few options. There's images, shapes, uploads, and new project right up here in the corner. For this example, I'm just going to use shapes. This section of shapes is free. Even if you don't have Cricut access, you can use those shapes. These ones have the little green A, which means that you need to have a subscription to use them. We're just going to use the free shapes for this. I'll just select a star, and I'm going to grab the corner of this star using my cursor here and stretch it, make it larger. And I can make it smaller too. Now, if you shrink it down so much that the cursor doesn't work anymore to change the size, you can go up to the top bar where it says More and click on that little arrow there. And then if you move over to the size, you can make it larger and smaller from this bar as well. And then once you see the little squares on the corners, you can stretch it out again just using the cursor. So it's up to you if you want to use the bar at the top or if you'd like to use the cursor to expand the shape. Along this top bar, there are many tools like Arrange, meaning bring it to the front or the back, flip the object from side to side or up and down, and we're going to use the one that is called Warp right now. Then we'll go back and look at the other two. Selecting here and looking at these odd shapes, you can click on one of them once you've selected your star and actually change the shape of it again, sort of manipulating that shape. And down below here, there's a little bar that you can slide along and intensify the warpage of the shape. We're just going to undo the warp for now. I just wanted to show you that tool and how it works. We wouldn't click out, we go down to the bottom where it says Undo Warp, and then we can click out. And I'll just bring the star back up, and I'm going to go back over once I have it the size I want it. I'll just expand the screen here. Now I'm going to decrease the size of the star a little bit, and the numbers across the top of this grid are actually inches. Now I'm going to go over to the colour, select that and change it. Now I have a nice red star. Now I'm going to go to the tool that says Offset, And when I click on this, it puts an outline around my star. But that outline is actually a shape that is expanding the size of it and creating another one underneath it. And you can see down at the bottom there, there's a curve or a sharp corner. You can decide what you want your edges to be like. So there I am with expanding it and clicking OK or apply. And now I have this shape that it created. And essentially it's tracing your shape and making it larger. And it's two separate shapes right now. So I'm going to bring them back together. You can do this by either clicking undo or just sliding them back over like this. And then I'm going to go up into the top left corner and drag my cursor down, like press and drag my cursor down, covering both of them, which will select them both together. Then I'm going to go down here and not select combine. I'm going to select flatten, because combine will make them both the same color, but flatten will join them without changing them to one color. It will keep them separate colors, which is great for making stickers, which is where the next selection comes in. Up here, there is a sticker, create a sticker selection, and I'm going to choose Kiss Cut. And what that does is it cuts the sticker off of the surface of the paper without cutting the under paper. I should use the right terminology. Anyways, I'm going to go down here and select OK or apply. And now I've just turned this into a sticker. Now I'm going to click Make and grab some sticker paper. You can see there is a sample of the grid in front of you now, and this is showing you what it's going to look like on the grid when you're cutting it out. It's telling you it's a print then cut. So here's my printer paper here. This is sticker paper. It's going to go into the printer. Now let me say continue, or let me just shrink this down to show you the whole grid. So you can go down in the corner here where it says 75% and make it 50%, and then you can see everything on your mat and how it's going to look. And then you click continue, print then cut, just double checking it says that, and then continue. And I have to connect my Cricut machine. So up here, I'm just going to click on here and select the machine. I am going to make sure that the Cricut machine is plugged into the laptop using the USB port. And then I'm going to open my machine and turn it on. You can use Bluetooth or hardwire. There we go. And it's going to align itself. And then I'll come back over here and make sure it's connected by pushing this green button up here. And it's connected. Or it's connecting. Okay. So now it says down here, send to the printer. So I'm just making sure my sticker paper is in my printer. So the Cricut machine does not print. It only cuts. It can do some drawing though, but we'll get into that later. So my printer's on and ready. Now I come back to the Cricut machine and I click send to printer. And there's a few things here. Add bleed, I turned that off, and then print. Now I've got to go back to the printer and grab the printed design. Okay. Now I'm coming back to the Cricut machine. Better make sure your printer is close to your Cricut machine. And I'm going to select which material I am cutting out. So they've got different selections and I've chosen this one. Printable sticker paper with, and it's got in brackets green backing or something. but I've tested a few different ones and this is the one that works for me, so that's the one I'm using. So it's telling me which tools it's going to need in the machine. So in clamp B, I need to have the fine point blade. I'm going to go over to the Cricut machine now and get my mat ready, and then I'll be looking at the fine point blade. So I have a new mat here, and it isn't necessarily a Cricut mat. I just bought some mats and they work, so that's the one I'm using. It is similar though, and it has the grid on it just as it does on the program, and there's sort of 1-inch squares on the grid. Now I'm going to stick the paper down to it and make sure I line it up right in the corner, because that is what the machine is expecting. It's expecting it to be lined up right from that left corner. I just thought I'd mention there is no paid promotions in this video. This is just me doing my crafts at home. And you can gently press your paper down. It doesn't need to be pressed down hard. However, I did use the roller on this one. And now I know it's not going to move around. You probably want to use a light grip mat. I used a standard grip mat for this one, which was a bit of a mistake, but I'll finish peeling that off later. Okay, so now I'm going to slip this in the machine, and you have to slip it under those 2 little side plastic pieces there and make sure it's fairly straight. You also want to make sure that there is nothing behind the machine, that you have a nice space back here for the mat to slide through, and that you have the correct spacing in the front as well, because the machine will just push the mat forward and back and you don't want anything in the way. Okay, so now I'm going to push the button that has got the 2 arrows. It kind of takes the mat in, it checks it out, makes sure it's the right size, and it checks the tools and it aligns everything nicely. This is clamp B, and the fine point blade is in here. If I push the end of this, you can see the blade, and then I'll just release that and it will go back in where it belongs. And then I just gently clamp it in there. It rests on the top there and clamps in. And then I'm going to push go, which is the triangle button. I'm thinking star for some reason. Okay, so, and now it is reading those corner lines. So the lines that printed up around the shape that you're cutting out are being read by the Cricut to align itself so that it cuts out the shape accurately. And then once it's done with that, it's going to check that it's got the right blade. And then it's going to cut it out. Here it goes. Done. Now it slides it out here, and then you push the double arrow button to release it. It pushes it out, and you can peel your sticker. You see the back in there. And this paper I purchased is quite sticky, which is nice. Going to be able to make some nice stickers. I'll just use this old book and stick this on the back of it just to show you. And there it is. So one of the first basic things that you can do that are fun with the Cricut is just take some basic shapes and make some fun stickers. To take the paper off the mat, usually, if I had used a light grip mat, you just curl the mat a little bit and it helps you to release whatever is on the mat carefully. Now I'm going back in here and I'm going to click done. If you're happy with your design, then you'll go up and click save, and you can name it and save it. And it will be saved into My Stuff, which is right next to the save button. I hope you've enjoyed this first video in a series of fun things I do in the studio, and I look forward to making more videos on the Cricut in future. Thank you for visiting and for viewing this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe to Art with Janine Liza on YouTube.